I'm ready.
Okay, good evening to the Wellcoin Talk community. Today we have an AMA of Ecoverse. Here to speak about the project is Adam. So Adam, yeah, if we could start with the core team's background and experience with crypto, that'd be great.
I'm just going to first real quick kind of introduce everyone to myself just so you know where I kind of fall in all this. So my name's Adam. I'm going to be representing Ecoverse today as your voice chat partner to speak about them today. Just some clarity, I'm not part of the team, but I am excited to represent them today and field any questions in live time to the core team right now. Going into, more importantly, like you had mentioned, who is this core team and what is some of their experience? So I'll start from the top here. The business developer, his name's Cielo, really nice dude. The dev, we talked about him a little before. His name is Dr. Strange EVS, clearly a fan of Dr. Strange, I think. And the CFO, his name is Joe EVS. You can find all of them in the Ecoverse Telegram. Make sure to only, by the way, join the official Telegram. There are already some fakes out there, so definitely only join the official link that was posted here in the announcement. Thank you, by the way. Going into, what is some background on this team before we get into what they're all about? Well, the background on this team, they've been working in the crypto space for about 5 years. The CTO specifically has had quite a bit of blockchain experience and is actually going to be looking to share that a couple months into launch. Outside of that, this team has worked a lot in government and financing. So a lot of the early private sale investment that they had backing Ecoverse was actually from those sectors, from the governmental sector and then also financing sector as well. So I'll get into like exactly how much that was and what that vesting schedule looks like, but just wanted to say that at a high level. Also, KYCs, this project has KYC'd on Solid Proof and on Pink Sale. So not just, on Pink Sale, which they just went live on right now and the contributions are already coming in, but also on Solid Proof. So the whole team KYC'd on Solid Proof as well to add more investor security. Like I had spoken about a little bit before, the team has a lot of crypto experience. They also have, worked in the past with government and financing entities, but also they have a lot of experience in startup, the startup world in creating startup companies, which is very useful when you're trying to create a project that's centered around so much utility. So now going into the project itself, is that cool if I share at like a high level what the project's about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I looked at the light paper, but yeah, it doesn't go into too many details. So yeah, you could maybe fill us in on more of the details about the metaverse and the NFT marketplace and P2E game. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I did want to speak about that too, because to be honest, I always have debriefs with the team and spend hours trying to understand, like from an investor standpoint, why would I be interested in this project, if at all? And can I understand and use this product when they are releasing these different pieces, right? So at a high level, what is this project? Well, first I want to dissect the name, Ecoverse, right? So to be honest, when I first thought of it, I was like, oh, like eco-friendly or, there's metaverse somewhere in there. Well, no, it's actually e-commerce. So it's an e-commerce metaverse bridging between the real world and the metaverse. So that's just one part of it, but that's one of the most exciting parts of it. So at a high level, this is really going to be that convergence of the NFT space, the metaverse, GameFi, and DeFi, all wrapped into an experience that is able to be used using their native EVS token. So this token is on the Binance Smart Chain. It did just go live on Pink Sale for their IDO, which is at a discount from launch price. Something that really excited me at a high level is just taking out one piece of this, the metaverse, right? Well, there's a lot of metaverses out there. Some are great, some are okay, to say the least. But what are they doing different? Well, instead of focusing on let's bring in everything into the metaverse and do all of them pretty poorly, they want to focus first and foremost on a mall-like experience, an expo-like experience, where folks can actually go to different parts of this virtual Ecoverse mall and different experiences and actually be able to see items that they can buy, try on their avatar, and then also get sent to them physically in the mail. So what's cool is you're buying, like, let's say it's mostly going to be focused on like wearables. So I buy like a really cool rare hat that's part of a special drop. within one of the malls there. Maybe it's like a seasonal thing, a holiday thing. Oh, there's only like, 100 of these, 10 of these, whatever. I'm able to get one, right? Well, I get that item and I'm able to showcase it on my avatar and kind of show it off, which is going to be really great when they look to expand it outside of just a central experience, but one that is more open world. That's coming later, but first it's going to be this. So anyways, going back to it, I'm buying this physical item, this wearable. I'm showcasing it on my avatar, but also I'm able to get that item sent, included in the purchase price using EVS tokens. I'm getting that item sent to me directly through the mail. So now I have a physical representation, something that's tangible, but also something that I can show off on my avatar as well. That alone was like so cool to me. I was like, whoa, like I love that because there is nothing cooler than being able to showcase and like show off your like NFT or your like rare like wearable that you got. But what if you could also do the same in the physical world as well and like show off that cool t-shirt that you got or that hat that's limited edition that has this collaboration with this company or that company. It's just a really cool thing that they're looking to bring. Now, anyone can create a clothing company though, right? Like, anyone could just, print some shirts and then sell them. They're really looking to have this be more established brands. So yes, there will be like, kind of bespoke options as well, but they're also looking to expand to big names and get them interested as well to bring their product to this type of mall experience. Now, when we talked about backing, you need a lot of money to do this. So I was happy to see that they were able to raise more than $500,000, $600,000 in that private fund, which came from a lot of outside of crypto investors. So they're folks that had followed them in the past from past, business ventures and were very interested in being able to get involved in something that they were doing, but bringing to the crypto space. Because of course they've had past crypto experience, but now they're actually going big on that past experience and doing something that's all encompassing. So I'll kind of stop there if there's anything, because there's so much more here, but I don't want to just keep talking and talking. Was there anything there that you wanted me to kind of like dive a little bit more into when it comes to the metaverse?
Yeah, you're answering it all very, very great. Questions that I had. So yeah, the funding of the metaverse, some of the investments coming from outside crypto, are they going to have a percentage of the token share?
Yeah. So that pre-sale that private sale already concluded. Going into distribution, I can actually get that real quick. So that private sale was for 60 million EVS tokens. The total, by the way, the total amount prior to any burns, which they did quite a bit of, was 500 million EVS tokens, but specifically allocated to the private sale was 60 million. The token price on that, because we'll go through token prices right now as well, was 0.01 per EVS. The minimum contribution was 30K, and there was no max. So the minimum was 30K. And they did reach that hard cap of 600K. Now that scares me. If I'm an investor and I hear that right now, hopefully I haven't already left, and you shouldn't, because you should hear the rest of this, but it scares me because that's a lot of money. And I'm worried about what's going to happen to all that money on launch day, right? Well, not something to worry about because both the private sale and the pre-sale, which I'll talk about right now that just concluded, both had high barriers to entry in the sense that you had to invest, quite a bit of money. You did get a discount, but you had to invest quite a bit of money. But whether you got in the private sale or the pre-sale that just ended, all those tokens are locked for 6 months. So those tokens are locked for 6 months in their staking platform, which is already available. And it's all publicly visible as well. So if I'm interested in getting into the pink sale that just opened up 20 minutes ago or less, I can first go into the Metaverse staking platform, which is pinned in the Ecoverse Telegram, and I can actually see the money that they're talking about that was already invested. So what's cool is the agreement that they had with their private investors was, look, we'll give you a little bit of a discount, not a crazy discount, by the way, but we'll give you a discount, but you gotta invest minimum 30K, which they said, sure, no problem. And you also have to lock up your tokens. So they said, well, what do you mean? And they said, well, we obviously can't let you potentially sell those tokens if this project takes off. We need you here for the long run because you're a seed investor. You're getting in at the beginning, right? So they said, okay, well, we want a little bit of a return. So they said, okay, fine. will give you a modest return back in EVS tokens, not 1,000% or 10,000%, but in the tens or so, right? So 10%, somewhere around there. We're going to give you that as rewards. And you are stuck in here, not stuck, but you have to stay vested. You can't move those funds, and you're not able to move those funds for 6 months. And they said, fine. So they actually got more than, I think, 92, 93% of those private and pre-sale funds already locked in to their staking platform for 6 months. Now going into the pre-sale, that was a little bit more accessible because the minimum was 5,000. So some of those past folks that they had done deals with that didn't get into the initial, well, now they got into the pre-sale, and it was open to everyone else as well. So the minimum was 5,000, and the max, I believe, was 20, if I'm remembering that correctly, 20,000. And they did really close to filling cap. Like, they did very, very well. And anything that was left over was burned, bringing down total supply as well. So now we're going into the IDO, which is the last stage before launch. But to be honest, this is the one, because I've talked about them quite a bit, in these last weeks. And this is the stage that I'm most excited to speak about because it's the most accessible. It's one that the everyday investor can consider after doing their own research, investing in, because the minimum is like $200. I think it's like half a BNB, so about, $200 something. And then the maximum is, a couple thousand or so. I think it's like 2.5 BNB or so. So it's much more accessible. And here's the cool thing. All of those tokens are available at launch. You don't have to vest them. You can if you want. They're also opening up a staking pool at launch, but you don't have to. And that's the cool thing. I love that flexibility in knowing that I can get it at a discount. It could potentially do really well. And if it does, great. Maybe I hold it, maybe I stake it, maybe I sell it, but you have that option and you're not vested. So I did want to speak really quickly about price. Like I said, private sale was 0.01 per EVS. The pre-sale, which again, both those two were locked for 6 months, so you can't, sell those tokens within the 6 months, was 0.015. And then right now it's at 0.02. So it's going up in increments of 0.005. So still you're getting it at a discount. It's one of those things where it's like you are getting it at a little bit less of a discount, but also you don't need to lock your tokens, and it's more accessible with the amount that I can contribute as well. So hopefully that answers a little bit of kind of how that breaks down.
That's great. So yeah, if we can go back to the mall experience that the building, you're going to have real life physical copies of the NFTs that you collect or mint, is it? Mm-hmm. And I wonder what sort of things you would have in the real world. Will there be like unique pairs of sneakers, hoodies, hats? What's planned on the merchandise side?
Yeah, that's a super good question. It is going to be very focused around wearables. So yeah, like you just said, right? Hats, shoes, hoodies, shirts, pants, all those type of things that you would normally walk around in the world in, that people would recognize and associate with a brand. They also want to be part of that. And they also want to tie in bigger brands as well. So going back, not too much of a tangent, but going back to partners. Well, obviously they raised quite a bit of money from the private sale. So clearly there's some financial backers, but what about like the support of outside entities as well? Well, they're established as an incubator, and they have a legal and incubation kind of establishment within France that's interested in supporting them when it comes to all the legalities of doing everything. They also have some logistics companies that they're looking at and talking to be able to make this happen, because it is extremely difficult, as you can imagine, to be able to ship even a hat to, near anywhere in the world. So they're starting with test markets as well, to, first to make sure this is viable. And then they are looking to expand it globally. But they're even looking at doing consumables as well. So outside of, wearables, they also want to do limited edition consumables. So imagine maybe like a mom and pop soda company, let's say, that makes the best sugarcane soda or whatever. And here in the States, we don't have real soda. We have stuff with corn syrup and junk. But the good stuff is sugarcane, which is everywhere else in the world pretty much. We don't have that here usually. So imagine just this super awesome limited edition crypto soda or whatever collaboration they want to do with when it comes to consumables. You're also going to be able to get those shipped as well. But that's coming later, because that is a logistical nightmare to do as something first. they first want to start with quote unquote easier things to be able to ship with those consumables, or not consumables, but the wearables. So expect those to come first, and then expansion into consumables and more. But along the way, they want those partnerships to be there. Just like you might see maybe some ads and banners and stuff in malls, expect that also within this space. Not to be annoying, but to be able to showcase and partner with some of these bigger projects. So it's going to be cool because it is going to be like a mall, but a decentralized mall where you can buy things with a decentralized currency, that you can buy on PancakeSwap. It's the coolest thing. So that is just one part of this project. Literally just one part. So that's the metaverse. We talked about the staking platform, which is already live, and those staking pools are available for private and pre-sale because they have to lock in their tokens and they're earning a reward. But there's also going to be a pool spun up for all the folks that launch as well. So that way, even though they're getting all their tokens, well, if I believe in this project and I'm interested in it, maybe I'm going to hold, to let the price discover, or maybe I want to see some of those releases later on. So let me hold it and let me earn something along the way. So there'll be that open as well. But outside of that, what else is there going to be? Well, they're also looking to launch an NFT marketplace, which thank you for mentioning that. Well, these are going to kind of tie in. They will, because if I'm buying a shirt, in the digital metaverse, I'm also going to get an NFT representation of that merch, which you can buy, sell, trade, all those. But it's also going to be a public marketplace. So if a emerging artist wants kind of exclusive exposure at the beginning to their NFTs, well, guess what? They can list on the Ecoverse NFT marketplace, and now they have kind of exclusive access to the entire community. That's going to start to catch on, and a lot of folks are going to want to participate. A portion of those fees are also going to be used to help support the platform and even do manual buybacks as well, which is great. Buyback and burn. And now going into the last part of this project, because there's so much that's all powered by this EVS token. The last part that I think is almost as equally as exciting, I still think the metaverse is a little more exciting, but still very exciting, is the GameFi Launchpad. So what is this GameFi Launchpad? Well, GameFi in its essence is being able to tie in the traditional gaming sphere, but bring it into a decentralized kind of lens and tie in, P2E experiences. So they're looking to do that, but they're looking to facilitate the projects that launch that. At least right now, they're not looking to launch their own product. They're looking to facilitate launches and maybe even incubate some that they really believe in. And the benefit there is going to be that they can launch projects that have been vetted, that are willing to KYC to them. And very importantly, also outside of the security, is they're going to be anti-cheat. So if I'm participating in this game, I'm not wasting my tokens because I know it's not going to be exploited, or I know that's greatly reduced. And also, they are all going to be using the native token. Every single project that they launch, every P2E game that they launch is going to be, as a requirement, using the native EVS token when you're playing. So, I mean, there is just a flood of utility for this token. So I'll stop there. I feel like I've been talking for like an hour. I know it hasn't been, but there's just so much that I don't want to miss anything, basically.
Yeah. So if we can go back to the P2E game, how's the gameplay overview being created there for players?
So for P2E, it's going to be hosted in their actual DApp. So it'll be like something more of a portal. So imagine you have, a game that just launched, right? And like, okay, yeah, you can participate if you're a holder, you can invest in it and be able, participate in this new game. But it's not going to be like actually necessarily hosted on the app itself. It'll like redirect into wherever their site is or wherever they're hosting their game, but it's all going to be using the EVS token. So something that I did want to share too is there's a lot here, whether it be the metaverse, whether it be the GameFi Launchpad, there's a lot here. So the white paper right now is extremely bare bones in comparison to all of the things they want to launch. So they're cognizant of that, and they kind of did it on purpose because this is just high level. When they get closer to those launches, which will go into the roadmap, when they get closer to those being an alpha and beta stage, they're going to be releasing white papers specifically for each one of those segments. So you're going to see one for the NFT platform. You're going to see one for the GameFi Launchpad. You're going to see one especially for the metaverse. But for the metaverse especially, it is not enough to just say, here's a white paper, because this is something they're really hinging on. They're also going to be launching like videos to kind of highlight, well, what does it actually look like? Is this a space I even want to hang out on? You know, like what does the storefront look like? What does, you know, the items that I would potentially be buying look like? All those things are going to be talked about and showcased. But to answer your question, yeah, to my knowledge right now, and the team can correct me if I'm wrong, it is going to be more of like a portal into their product. And then you're going to, again, be able to use the native EVS token throughout those games.
Okay, I see. And with the metaverse, is it going to be in-house, or is some of it going to be outsourced to other companies?
So it is going to be in-house built. They did make that clear that they wanted to work on it in-house, but they are going to be needing to hire even more developers to be able to do that. So not just for the framework to make sure that everything's mapped the way they want artistically, but also for the actual development and coding that it takes. They are using Unreal Engine, so they are going to be using that, which is great. But as far as like bringing everything together, you can't have one developer do everything. It's going to take ages if you do that. So they are looking to expand in tandem with the white paper expansion as well. So for serious parts of the project, what I mean serious, like taking a lot of time and energy, they're going to be looking to expanding the team. So they don't want to give that to another separate team that's not under their, wing. They want to make sure that they're bringing people in, catching them up to speed with their theme of what they want to do and their vision, and then having them be part of the team.
And you've got NFT staking and a staking platform. I'm wondering if that's locked, unlocked, or both, how it will work for investors.
Let me ask. So staking platform, NFT, because I'm curious myself. I know when it comes to the actual token side, like the DeFi side, all of it's going to be locked, for the first 6 months, except for the IDO one that's being made available right after IDO in 2 days. But for the NFTs, I'm curious. I may need to circle back to that. I just asked right now, so I should get an answer near the end here. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, about the NFT series, if there's going to be like avatars that will be able to be used in the metaverse, minted, how many is going to be minted, and you've got merchandise and consumables as well coming on the NFT side. I'm wondering the size and which blockchains they'll be launched on.
Yeah, so I know that they did speak just as far as expansion. They do want to eventually expand, and again, this is going to be later on. You're going to probably see this closer to when the metaverse is introduced. They're going to look to be expanding the NFT side to the Ethereum chain. So they are looking to expand there eventually, but they want to have serious development underway already. They don't want to kind of expand like a half-baked experience and then develop on both chains. They want to just, really work on the Binance Smart Chain first, and then look to expand their NFT side over to the ETH side. When it comes to the scope of NFTs, at least right now, and it may be bigger, but I want to underplay what they're trying to do because there's so much they want to do anyways. They're really focusing on, when we're talking about NFTs, they're talking about those NFTs kind of like being trophies and rewards of what you already have. So like, yes, if I buy a hoodie for my avatar, I'm going to get like, that specialty hoodie, 1 of 1 or 10 of 10 or, 100 of 100. I'm going to get that as an NFT. And again, I can buy, sell, trade, and I can, use that within the metaverse. But outside of that, there's not going to be too much cross pollination when it comes to, if if an artist signs up and then they start minting their content, it's not going to immediately be available, of course, in the metaverse. That takes so much work to be able to do that viably. So that's not a focus right now. In the future, maybe, but right now they're saying there's already so much we want to do really well. Let's focus in on, having NFTs be tied into the utility of the metaverse. So again, if I trade, buy, sell, whatever the asset that I'm purchasing in the metaverse, I can also get an NFT, almost receipt of that product, and then be able to do what I like with that.
Great. And I see on the roadmap, they're saying they're going to be setting up a legal entity in France. I'm wondering what's happening there.
So there's a lot. The team's global, very, very much so global. So they're not letting me share just yet exactly where they're located, but they know to have this V viable, they want to have it all established as a legal entity in France. So that's why they put it there. They already made some huge inroads in being able to make that happen, but that is the goal, is to have everything established there. And they're actually even looking to moving like some of the team there as well. So it's just kind of speaking to, they want to make sure that, the team is centralized and able to work cohesively a little bit better. But also they want the legal protection of being able to work with the entities they have in France to make sure that this all works. Because again, you're going to be bringing in brand names. You're going to be working with big time investors that have already helped, fund that initial 600K in private. There's a lot of moving pieces here, and there's a lot of potential for legal hiccups. So they wanted to make sure that they that they spent some of that 600K not only in the future development, but also into the legalities and making sure everything, stays good.
And then the Ecoverse Gamify Launchpad, I'm wondering what's going to be offered there for projects, how much it'll cost, and if you hold the Ecoverse token, whether you'll get whitelist spots for these projects that launch on the platform.
Yes, that is the plan. Is you're going to be able to get like priority entry into that, and you'll also be able to get like things like alpha access to be able to see like, hey, is this even a project that I want to wait for? Like, let me take a look at it. Let me kind of experience it outside of the MVP videos that are already going to be shared with those projects of their development. You're going to be able to get like kind of alpha access. But as far as like kind of the scope of like, what are these projects going to be? Is it just going to be like a simple, like, simple platform game, or is it going to be like something serious? They're really focused on kind of doing a sci-fi-esque spin. So they really want it to be like kind of within that theme. Like, you're not going to see a disjoining of a flood of different types of like game type, products. It's going to be centered around like kind of that sci-fi sort of theme. So you'll see a lot of stuff within that. There's going to be good variety, but again, they haven't shared too much on that because they have to get the projects first. So sharing anything right now on that would kind of be not lying, but like kind of just hoping and seeing, oh, it might be like that. They don't really know, but they know that they do want to be scouting for projects that are going to be, along that kind of like space sci-fi sort of theme.
The profits from the Launchpad and the NFT series that are minted, I'm wondering whereabouts that's going to go, maybe marketing, liquidity, and buyback and burns in the token.
They said mainly buyback and burns, a little bit in liquidity as well. They're kind of leaving that open right now because they want to look at how is the token performing, what parts of this ecosystem are getting the most exposure, and if need be, maybe they do need to dip into using some of those fees into more marketing to market certain sectors of the project that need more exposure. So right now they are leaving that very open because they don't want to lock themselves into a box where someone who, as an example, someone who really likes one part of the platform but doesn't care about the others, maybe there can be potential for FUD or miscommunication when they say, well, in the white paper it says this, but now they're using the funds for another part of the project. Why? So they want to leave that up to, exploration to be able to invest properly in the parts of the project that maybe need that little bit of a boost.
Great. And is there audits planned on the contract for Ecoverse before launch or after launch?
There actually is already one. CoinScope did a audit. They didn't find anything critical, which is fantastic. They did find some moderate things and some low risk items, and all of those have been acknowledged and fixed. So those are taken care of. Now, that's just one entity that does audits, right? There's many, many others. They're also looking to do a SurTech audit as well, post-launch, and also some centralized exchange listings as well. Because when it comes to security, most investors, they really want to see, especially now with so much junk on the Binance Smart Chain, they want to see, KYC, multiple KYCs, not just pink sale, which is huge, but they also want to see, what else do you have? Well, they did solid proof. Okay, on top of that, what else are you going to be bringing? Well, they want to see an eventual dox, which this team is actually interested in eventually doxing once, they have a few legalities taken care of. They want to make sure that the team is doxed. But also when it comes to the token, this is a token that's powering everything. It better be secure. So we talked about the CoinScope audit, that they already addressed and fixed the concerns that were, the smaller concerns that needed to be fixed. And then the fact that they're also seeking out another entity as well in the form of Surtech to do another audit. So, and then, the centralized exchange listings, it helps because some people still are not as versed or don't want to necessarily buy from a DEX. So when it's on a centralized exchange, it just adds a little more security to have different avenues to get in, basically.
And while we're talking, you mentioned the pre-sale on Pink Sale. I'm wondering, can investors go over there and invest, or is it only whitelisted, or is it public?
That is the beauty of this, and thank you so much for asking, because I should have mentioned this before. It is available to everyone. So if you're just hearing this right now and you're like, all right, sounds kind of cool, I might keep an eye on it, bookmark, because the Pink Sale is running for the next 2 days. Yeah, anybody can get in. They wanted to make this available to everyone. They already had that private sale and that pre-sale, and those had a higher barrier of entry. So now that they had great success with those two, they said, well, let's open things up. We want to make sure we get the max exposure possible. They're going to be doing huge campaigns when it comes to ads. So those ads better go somewhere, because the first thing I think of when I'm thinking of, like, are we properly investing our money when it comes to ads, is if someone clicks on an ad, what are they able to do? Are they reading something and then deciding later? Or are they given the option to read, do their own research, and then immediately be able to invest and see value on their investment? Well, that's what they're doing. Because if you invest in the Pink Sale right now, or even if you invest after at launch, you'll be paying a little bit more money, but you're going to be able to get a token that is not vested, that you can do with it whatever you want with. And there's going to be a staking pool available at launch to be able to invest your tokens if you do like their transparency and if you want to see some of these things come to be.
Great. And what's the minimum maximum contribution in the soft cap, hard cap on Pink Sale?
Good question. Minimum buy is 0.5. It's actually 0.51 BNB, and the max is 2.55 BNB. A lot of this is going to be going towards liquidity to help Pancake launch, to help with the Pancake launch after. The tokens available for pre-sale, it's like one number under, slightly under 20 million EVS tokens. And again, those are going to be used for liquidity. The pre-sale rate is 1 BNB is going to get you just about 19,550 EVS tokens. The soft cap is 767 BNB, and the hard cap is 1,023 BNB. Anything not sold is being burned. Now, here's what's great. They already did a burn for the remaining tokens from the pre-sale, which again had that higher barrier of entry. They already burned those tokens, and it was actually pinned in Telegram. So they burned, I think it was 5 million, a little over 5.2 million EVS tokens that were burned and pinned and shown on the on BSC scan, where you could actually track it and see that those tokens were burned. So the same thing is going to be done with Pink Sale if it doesn't hit the hard cap, of course.
Okay, that's great. And with the tokenomics to buy and sell tax, how does that work for investors?
Yeah, so let me go back to that just so I can get the right numbers. All right. Apologies, I'm working on a laptop today, so it's a little different. Let's see. It is a 9% tax. I'm just getting the breakdown so that way I can tell you exactly. So it's 9% buy. Here we go. 9% buy, sell, transfer. That breaks down to 2% for development, 2% for marketing, 2% for auto add to liquidity, 2% distribution to holders, and then 1% burned automatically. All those are automatic. So the good thing is like I had mentioned before, they earmarked over 200 million EVS tokens from the total distribution to be set for manual burns on top of the burns that are built into the tokenomics. So not only is it deflationary, but they're also integrating in massive, massive burns. I mean, before IDO, before Pink Sale, they burned 100 million, and they're looking to burn another 100 million strategically. They're never going to announce them. It's going to be as a thank you to all the holders, because it's going to help out the token potentially a little bit there as well. So I was happy to see that. They have some really good baked in tokenomics that are helping to get a continual flow of those marketing funds. The good thing with the marketing too is because of the raises they've done, they have quite a war chest to be able to market with. And right now, even their marketing campaign is pretty massive. So of course, finding awesome AMA groups like this, but going the full gamut. I mean, making sure that we get like quality crypto, influencers to speak about the project, and also validating the efficiency of those posts recently instead of just old data, making sure that there's good, like, pinned posts, different advertisements on listings, all those different things are going to be there, and they're going to be strategically placed. So that way it's not just clustered at launch or clustered around the IDO, but consistent. So that way there's always a push of new folks in that are going to learn about the token, educate themselves, and then potentially buy in once they see that EVS token is tying into everything that they're looking to launch.
That's interesting, yeah, with the 2% reflections in the EVS token, because you're going to be able to use that in the metaverse, and in the future you're going to be creating games for other projects where they'll be able to be used there as well.
Exactly. And it's one of those things too where, there's a reason why they went millions instead of, thousands, right? Because there still needs to be enough to be able to operate and transact and do all of these things. But the point of bringing that down is to bring eyes to the project because it's massive, right? But also being able to have enough, like I spoke about, to be able to transact and operate and do everything. So they feel very confident in the fact that these numbers make sense. These numbers work for the scope of, a type of project that they're wanting to launch. And yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, did you say in the metaverse that you'd be able to buy physical assets, like we say, with clothing and everything, with the EVS token?
Oh yes, it is not going to be BNB, BUSD, none of it. It's literally just going to be EVS token. So let's say, they sign on a really, really good, company. Like let's say, I'm not even going to list any companies, but let's just say they sign on a company that's trending, and maybe it's even smaller, but it makes hoodies that are like really hot, or they make like, t-shirts that are trending and a lot of people want. Well, even if the token price goes down, it's all going to be variable based on the price. So let's say they want to charge a set price, because that's how it's going to be, is set prices, right? So if I want to, sell my item for a set price of $50, well, it's finding the live market value of EVS. So it's not going to be like, well, $50 is going to be X amount of EVS tokens at listing. It's going to be able to be variable. So it'll kind of adjust and be elastic based on the price, which is great, because then that means, oh, I don't have enough EVS tokens anymore. Dang. Well, it's okay because the token's at a discount. Let me buy some. So they're really hoping that is going to be a big mechanic in helping to push price up by having products that people actually want and have utility deeply in the project itself.
Just thinking like, it encourages people to hold, because you can get them reflections, save them up, and then buy physical things inside the game, which is a cool feature. Yeah.
It's a cool way to market. It's a cool way to market because, like let's say you get in, right now, during IDO, right? Well, again, there's no vesting schedule, but maybe you want to earn even more tokens. Well, you can wait for those reflections, or you can even stake in and earn even more if you want, because it's not going to be 1,000% APY or something, but you'll be able to get like maybe 6-7%. And they're actually planning on that having that be fixed, from what I understood. So you're going to earn like a set amount back, not too much to where it's hurting the token price significantly or anything like that, but just enough to say thank you for saying like, hey, like you believe in the project, you want to see what's going on. And then, when the metaverse comes out in later phases, you're going to be able to potentially buy stuff for your avatar and then also physically get it effectively for free if you hold enough EVS tokens, because you're going to be getting that in reflections or by staking rewards. So I haven't even thought of that. That's funny. That's actually a really cool thing, because like everybody likes free, but I especially like free if it's not just digital, but it's also physical. And I can tell my buddy like, hey, like I was able to buy like a pretty rare drop on this thing called EVS. And that's how I got this shirt. Like there's only 100 of them, but I was able to buy it in time and get that collection. So, check it out kind of thing. Like there's just so many things in there that it's not just the exposure piece of like, let me reach out to, these influencers and let me have them talk about and then re-talk about my project. how can we make this kind of like a social like type experience where I want to share this versus I'm forced to share this, like, retweet this and I'll give you X amount of EVS token, instead having it be, I want to speak about this because the token has done well for me. I got in early, so I'm part of this community, and I really feel like I'm part of this community. And I also have a physical representation of that dedication. I mean, that you have like the three core pieces of like creating a potential like great community type experience. So there's a lot of cool things when it comes to.
Yeah, it's a really super cool feature. It's a bit like a savings card or something. As you're an investor, as your tokens reflect, you can actually buy physical, virtual things in the metaverse and the mall when that comes out. But yeah, let's move on to the marketing now. What's happening after launch on the marketing side of the project?
So quite a bit. I'm sure all the awesome projects that you guys have on here, and even some that are like still like branching out and trying to make a name for themselves. Everyone is very few are going to say, oh, we don't have a marketing plan, right? But all of them are going to say, yeah, we have a massive marketing plan, right? That's cool. But again, and I'll say the same thing because it's true. Yeah, they invested a ton of money in marketing, and they're cutting like a sliver of that to be able to they're cutting a sliver from the private sale of 600K to be able to do marketing. Now here's the thing is, I can say, yeah, they've reached out to influencers, they're doing banner ads, they're doing pin posts, they're having AMAs, all these things. That's great. But as an investor, I want to see those things. So expect in the coming days, but not just for launch and post-launch, but even past launch. I mean, I'm talking about like, when they launch their NFT platform in a couple months, especially when they launch their GameFi platform in a few months as well. And then you better believe there's going to be a lot of noise when it comes to the metaverse, because when it comes to marketing, we talked about kind of the social element of like natural marketing, of talking about it with your friends and such when you're able to get the physical representations, especially if they're rare. But they're not relying on that. They're just saying it'll be an element. But also, they need to allocate a good amount of money to be able to do these expos in a big way. So I'd kind of touched on it before, but I'm happy to talk about it again, is because it's really cool, is they've already spoke and kind of created the framework for what showcasing Ecoverse products look like in an expo setting. So what I mean by that is they spoke with, and I can't, because of NDAs that they have with this expo. All I can say is it's one of the biggest futurism and tech expos in the world. Pretty awesome. They specifically said, if you say anything, we will not host you. So don't say anything because you can't use our name until we sign the dotted line. And we want to see a viable product first, because we're not going to support you and cross promote unless you have a viable project. It's understandable. But anyways, their plan is to be able to continue talks with them and actually have that be of something that happens. What they want to do there is have an expo setting. You have a lot of foot traffic coming through there because everyone's looking at the booth. They're seeing what's new, what's coming out. Well, here's Ecoverse. You have this booth. You have a couple wearables on the table. You got a hat, you got a shirt, you got a hoodie, you got some nice shoes. Really nice. Some of the best that they have to kind of showcase. You put on a VR headset. You load the Ecoverse app, which they're going to make available mainly through an app interface. You load the app, you put on the headset, boom. I'm transported to the storefront. I'm looking around. I see the same products that were in front of me just now on the table. I see them in this storefront. I can look around them. I can see the detail of each thing. I can zoom in a little bit, see all this cool stuff. And then I take the headset off and I know that I can get that same item sent to me in unison with buying it digitally. So that's what they want to do. That's what they want to bring. And that's how they're looking to bridge that e-commerce to the real world, like tying in metaverse to e-commerce and then bringing it to the real world and making it tangible and experience, and just a really cool experience.
Great, Adam. Let's open it up to the rest of the team. If anyone's got a question for you from the Ecoverse project, go Go ahead.
Yeah, Glenn, just one quick question for me. So I was super happy about the Gamify, and you talked a bit about that, and you gave us like the benefits for the holders, and you also mentioned that they might even incubate some projects. So I'm thinking, what are some of the incentives for the teams that want to get involved with Gamify and build games and that are eventually going to use the EVS token?
That's a great question. So when we go into, the projects that they want to launch, the first one, whether you want it to be or not, it's the most important. It sets the groundwork for everything else you're going to launch. If it's a flop, everyone just kind of assumes the rest is not going to be so great. So you better believe that they're going to take their time, especially in that alpha and beta phase, and then especially for launch when they're actually giving the investor something to invest in, that they're going to look for a really, really good type gaming product that is tied in with the theme that they want to showcase. Again, being a theme of kind of space-like, sci-fi, that sort of experience, and looking for something that's engaging and fun. You want it to be fun. You don't want it to just be, just something that's not something that I don't want to log in and do, and something that I don't want to talk about. You want to make it fun. You want to make it engaging, and it has to be tied into the EVS token. So to answer your question, what is the benefit, right? What is the benefit for someone who has put their heart and soul into developing a game, and now they're, maybe thinking about launching in a few months, and then they get approached by EVS and they say, look, like, scrap your token. You're only going to be able to use EVS token. Well, what's the incentive for them? Well, they're still working out exactly all the details, because again, to put anything set in stone right now would kind of be cursing yourself, because things can change so quickly, and they want to make sure that they're able to be elastic with that change. But they definitely do want to give a big incentive to these folks. So what that looks like is maybe giving a portion of the fees that are generated back to these, back to these projects, right? Also, a very big amount of the raise that's done as well, because the raise is going to be an EVS token. Well, you can take that raise, and then it's going to be vested, just like the private sale, just like the public pre-sale as well. Like, those funds are going to be vested, and then you'll be able to like do things with that. So they really want to bring those projects under the fold of EVS, much more than just a partner, but a core part of the product. So that's the difference. Is it's not going to be like, oh, we're gonna pay you guys X amount of money to like sign with us. No, it's more going to be like, hey, you're part of this product, and you're going to be able to get like a great part of these rewards, but they're going to be needing to be responsibly managed. So there's going to be a lot of exposure for them. They are also looking to do some raises in BUSD and such in other ways. So when they're doing those raises in other ways, those are going to be able to be used towards supporting some of these new projects that are launching. But it's mainly going to be done in EVS. So again, going back to the investor incentive, is you're going to be able to participate using EVS. So the benefit for the actual project owner is, well, you have all of the marketing exposure, you have the co-development when it comes to integrating the token, and then you also have the ability to do things with your token. So they'll even be looking at potentially opening like special pools for these projects as well. Like, it can be like a creator pool, or maybe it has a little bit higher percent, so that way, since they're vesting anyways, you might as well earn a reward on it. But there'll be responsible unlocks. So it'll probably be like a linear unlock system. So that way, again, it's not dunking on all the investors, but it's doing it responsibly. So that way, everyone wins. And they're building out this ecosystem in the right way. So hopefully that answers your question. I do want to say though, if that interests you, which it sounds like it does, and I'm happy to hear that, just know that as they near close to development of the actual GameFi Launchpad, a whole separate white paper is coming out. Like I said, for all the core products, the GameFi Launchpad, the NFT marketplace, and especially the metaverse, there is a separate in-depth white paper written about each one of those. And then when the products are launched, there's a huge education campaign that they want to do as well, to make sure that they can make the bridge from crypto to the regular folks that maybe just find them, to make it as easy as possible. Like, how do I use the Binance Smart Chain? How do I link my wallet? Just the basic stuff that we all know how to do. They want to make it accessible to everyone. And then also for those advanced users like us, they want to make sure, well, how do I participate in a whitelist? How do I do all those things within the Ecoverse ecosystem. So they're going to have both a basic and then advanced type like education campaign. So there's a lot to it, but yeah, that hopefully that answers.
Yeah, it does. It does. It sounds like it sounds interesting, and it sounds like there's more to come. So I'll keep my ear to the ground. Thank you for answering.
Of course, thank you.
Yeah, so let's move on to investor questions. Syed, you had a question for Adam at Ecoverse Project. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Glenn. I have few questions. So I want to know that do brands or merchants have to own a shop or in the Ecoverse to be able to sell the products? And will there be different sizes of the shop available on different locations as well?
Oh, see, these are the questions that I wish I could answer confidently right now, but I can't, just to be completely honest with you, because that is so late in the project development. Again, that's like last phase when they're going to be launching Metaverse. Even if it was coming directly from the project, a definitive yes, no would be not giving the investor proper respect because they want to leave things elastic. If they see that there's an outsized demand from, a vendor, like a lot of vendors, like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I heard about this. Like, the people that funded you early on, they're speaking about it. And like, I want to be part of this. If they get a flood of those, they want to make it more exclusive because of course they want to say, okay, well, you have to own a shop to be able to showcase your items. Or you could even do some interesting things like sublet your space. So you could say, hey, well, I have this store, another project, or I'm talking about crypto so much, not another project, but another vendor could say, well, I have a like product or a product that accents your product well. Maybe if you're selling hoodies exclusively, I sell shirts. Let me buy a piece of your storefront. Let me like kind of own a table or something within that space. So they're looking at the potential to be able to do that as well. So there's going to be so many different ways to do this, but it's still being decided. To put it simply, it's still being decided because to make any line in the sand right now is just not correctly calibrated to how far away it is. So high level, they know what they want to do, but when it comes to the specifics of, how many like stores are there going to be? Do you have to own a store to be able to showcase your products? All these different things, they really want to leave that up to when they get to the white paper to be able to iron out the fine details and also speak with vendors to make sure that it's an equitable choice that vendors actually want to do. Because if you say you have to own a storefront and that's it because we have so much demand, well, maybe then those people don't end up turning up and now you don't have any storefronts that are filled. So it needs to be a conversation that's a round table with these actual, vendors to make sure that it's something that makes sense for them and that they can vote on and, feel that they're taken care of, to be able to make it very successful.
Yeah, it's understandable. Another question is also related to the metaverse. Let's see if you can answer that. I was wondering that will it be necessary for the vendors to be KYC to be able to open their shop or store?
I would very much say probably yes. Just because if it was just digital goods, no. But because they're physical, I feel like yes. Reason being is there's a lot of liability there. Again, that's why they teamed up with that legal entity in France. Oh man, there's so much that can go wrong. I mean, it's just one of those things. And since they're business people and they've had so many ventures in the real world, they're cognizant of that. So one of the first things they did with the funds was said, let's do some stuff in France when it comes to legalities because we need to have all of our T's crossed, right? Because let's say, worst case, we're talking with wearables here, but someone buys some pants that has like a default in it and somehow it causes an injury or there's some sort of claim or sue or something, they need to be able to speak to the manufacturers and not the mall. Like you wouldn't sue the mall for something related to clothing. You would sue like, the clothing company itself. So no, it is going to be much like a mall would be, the entities themselves take care of legalities, take care of, being like a valid vendor. The Ecoverse, which is the mall, is going to be just hosting them. So that will be a requirement is, these vendors have to, prove that they're valid, proving that they can actually send out these items, proving that they're not just going to steal funds. Like there's so many things here that come into play. We talked about with the GameFi Launchpad too. They're not looking to launch just any project. It has to be within the theme, but it also has to be something that's provably fair. It can't be something that can be like cheated or be stolen from, because then nobody wants to play it. I don't want to play that if I'm going to lose my EVS tokens. So there has to be provably fair systems, and there has to be systems in place that the e-commerce is verifiable, so that way it can be seen that yes, this item was shipped, yes, it was paid for. If it didn't arrive on time, or if it got lost in the mail, who pays for that? All those things need to be taken care of. So again, I hate to say, it's coming, but it's coming, and it needs to be ironed out, but it is a focus for them.
Okay, got it. Quickly moving to my final question. You mentioned that it will be necessary to have KYC to be able to use GameFi Launchpad. I want to know that how will you make sure that the game which are launched on your GameFi Launchpad are secure and producing the fair result for the gamers? I mean, will you do any checks on the game before letting them launch on your Launchpad?
Extensive, not just some, like extensive. That's why they have, the alpha, beta, and then public launch of those big products, being the metaverse, even the staking platform, but the GameFi Launchpad especially, and then also the metaverse. Because, like I had explained, a few minutes ago, like I don't want to play a game that I'm spending money on and then it can get hacked. I'm losing interest immediately. I want something that has proof, that shows that a team worked on this, that is verified, that there was alpha and beta testing on it, that you included, stress tests in it. All those things are going to be looked at, and they're going to have an ongoing team as well, kind of like an anti-cheat team, to ensure that is still being kept. Because you have to have a dedicated, you can't just release something and then forget about it, because people will find vulnerabilities. They will eventually find something. So you have to have a team that's willing to patch those things, and they have to have the cooperation with these projects as well. Part of the requirement is these have to be projects that also are willing to go back and improve the game. They can't just release it and be done with it. They have to be willing to go back and then also put improvements in. So again, these have to be serious projects that check a lot of the boxes to even be given as exposure to the community. So hopefully that answers a little bit. I know I was a little bit vague because I kind of have to be, because those are still early in development. But just know that they're very dedicated in the sense of like how they want to approach these, and also be flexible with their deployment.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time. That hour went quick because Adam's a great speaker for Ecoverse project, and there's lots of exciting things coming. It's really exciting for me with the reflections that I can save up for hoodies and real world items and virtual world and NFTs and things like that in the metaverse in the future. So I'm really looking forward to the launch of this project. If Adam, you could send me over the Pink Sale link, I can put that into our main chat as well after the AMA. And we always say to investors, anyone listening back to the recording or have any questions here today, unfortunately we've run out of time, I can get you safely over to the Ecoverse official Telegram. That's actually linked on the website in our main chat. So head over there, and I'll drop the Pink Sale link shortly for any investors that want to get involved with the Ecoverse project. Thank you very much for coming today, Adam.
Excellent, Glenn and community. Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure. I just say as a final closing statement, if anyone is interested in any aspect of what Ecoverse wants to bring to market, don't buy anything yet. Even though the Pink Sale just went live and you guys are getting first visibility to it, do not buy anything yet. Look into the project, look into these things, ask the core team the questions that you have that might have not been answered, and then consider investing and getting that discount right now. So with that, again, thank you so much. Thank you for visiting. And I did just share that link with you as well, Glenn. Thank you.
That's great. Awesome. Thanks, Adam, for coming today, and take care. Looking forward to the future
Cheers.
for the project. Over.